Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 27th, 2024 meeting of the Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission. I'm Kate Chartner, the Vice Chair, filling in for Dennis Fiore, the Chairman. The Commission will review 3 new applications this evening. And is this when I talk about the change?
No, you can do it when you come to it. Because so far that's what the agenda says for the public record. So if there's anything that changes, then it changes when we get to that application.
I see, okay. We are conducting this meeting online in accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video conferencing. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the Commission. To do so, please raise your hand in the participant function of the Zoom meeting platform. If you are calling in by phone and cannot use the video platform, you may raise your hand by dialing *9. Our host will mute microphones of those not speaking, and in order to preserve bandwidth, may need to turn off video, with the exception of the commissioners, the host, and the current applicant. The chair will call on each commissioner for comments on an application and then open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, the applicant may respond, and I will ask for a motion from the commission to continue, to approve with conditions, or to reject, ask for a second, and then conduct a roll call vote. Once the commission has acted on an application, the applicant is free to leave the meeting. So our first order of the day is Robbins House, 320 Monument Street. Is there a representative here?
Oh, and Kate, I think you are allowed to take an item out of order. The brief item, just to let Adam know what's going on with the quorum.
Yes. Okay, and let's do that, I think. I'm just going to jump ahead for a few minutes to the continued matter of 462 Lexington Road, Adam and Ashley Mickelson. Is Adam here? The one from Blade of Grass.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Adam.
How are you? I don't know if the other ones are on yet, only because I think they were expecting it to be later.
It's quite all right. Don't worry. In fact, thanks for having us this morning. That was very helpful, as was the additional printouts they gave us.
No problem.
We are short a commissioner to be able to vote on your application. We have a quorum right now, but one of our commissioners must recuse himself. And so without that, we drop down to 4 members and we're not able to vote.
Can someone vote by proxy or no?
No.
Okay.
What
is the next one?
The next one is, Andy, you have that?
April 17th.
Yikes. Okay. Okay.
I think you need to vote to continue. Is that right, Luis?
That is correct, and I would consult with our town planner to determine whether it is possible to have a special meeting about this particular application that occurs before the scheduled meeting, keeping into account that all the public matters have been presented. The application has been in the public record for more than a month.
Yeah.
And this would be, sort of a delayed that could be addressed. I don't know if this is possible, but I'm suggesting that, we commissioners can work with our town planner and see if we can establish a special meeting just to address this application, because we certainly don't want to put undue burden on the applicant and just keep continuing forever. And certainly it's not his fault, it's ours.
Right.
We would greatly appreciate it. Let us know what options there may be. Just quickly, in part because of Melinda's ideas and commentary around the other fences on the road as well. We would be completely open to pushing the wall open farther up a little bit, even if we have to remove that dead tree or dying tree.
I'm sorry to jump in, but
Oh, yeah,
you know,
sorry.
that would be part of the exchange
Okay,
that would
that's fine.
occur when the application is
problem.
being presented.
Um,
Apologize for interfering with our chair.
and Doctor, one random thing is one of our collective neighbors is apparently selling his house. He came over this morning when we were out there and asked that if we could remove it by the weekend. If anyone else wants to see it, we just ask they come before Friday. Because we will try to remove it for them as long as no one is opposed to that idea.
And do you want to are we able to just send out a reminder to those who haven't seen it?
Yeah, yes, we can certainly do that.
Just, and
Although
so
I
Adam,
think-
you'll take it down on Friday. So
Yeah.
I can have them see it tomorrow.
Okay. And if anyone has,
How about noon on Friday?
and if anyone can let us know if there is a possibility of a sooner meeting, that would be incredible. We greatly appreciate it. But we know there's a lot of moving parts.
Right, and I think the commission's required to set a date. Isn't that true? For the continuance? I think you need to set the date publicly at this meeting.
So at present, we will continue to the next Historic Districts Commission meeting of April 17th. This is where I would like to say,
You need a motion?
well, allowing for Luis's suggestion that we might be able to try to figure out something sooner. Luis, you there?
I'm trying, yeah, I'm trying to see we are on, today's the 27th. So a reasonable time will be either 1 week from today, which is the 3rd, or the 10th.
But we would need to publicize that meeting.
And then we would have to publicize that meeting, and is it 24 hours or 72 hours, and for any public meetings, meetings that people should have the knowledge.
It's 48 hours.
Okay. So this could be as early, so if I'm looking at the calendar right now, it could be as early as Wednesday the 3rd, if we publish the announcement by this Friday. And it could be certainly on the 10th, and we would have plenty of time to fulfill the 48-hour deadline.
We can make ourselves available at whatever date you need. So, or is amenable to the HDC.
We need commissioners,
Yes.
and I know this one is not available on the 3rd, and I don't know when Dennis comes back. So at least for me, it would have to be
So-
10th.
So if I may ask with the permission of the chair to suggest that we leave the date open, that we state as a matter of public record that we will make every attempt to have it on the 3rd or the 10th of April. And that we will notify the applicant and make a public notice 48 hours prior to the meeting.
How does that sound, Anne?
I think
Twist
it's
the
okay. Luis certainly has much more experience with this group than I do, so
All right.
it must be.
Other commissioners, we'll can someone make a motion?
And if I may interrupt again, I'm sorry, Ms. Chair. We have to vote in an administrative matter, and we should not be voting on the application because we have no quorum for such vote. But administratively, all commissioners can vote on the not continuing the application, but changing the date of the application to another one. Because if we were considering the application anyway, then I would be recusing myself, and then we will go back to not having a quorum.
Don't we have to
So-
vote twice, actually?
No, I think that.
Don't we have to vote to
No.
move the date and then
it has to be presented as an administrative matter, so all commissioners can work
So
and
not,
vote. Not as a matter regarding the application of for 92 Lexington Road. See, this is a matter of this is an administrative matter where by which we, the commission, administratively determine that we are going to take this application at a later date. And at that point, I will again recuse myself, but I can vote yes in doing so.
Okay. Other commissioners, can you cobble together a motion to support that? I saw you taking notes, Walter, so,
no, hands free.
Melinda, you're
Only
muted.
mental. Is it along the lines of that I move that the commission administratively postpone consideration of this application until either April 3rd or April 10th, with the idea that expediency is a prime concern? Does that work?
So for the chair, we have a motion and a second, so we can take a vote.
okay, we'll take a vote. Luis,
I vote yes.
Melinda,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Walter,
Yes, as well.
and I'm a yes as well. So we're sorry about that, Adam, but we are, we will-
Happens. So we appreciate everything. If anyone has any issues or questions in the interim, we'll be available. If not, I will drop and just let us know when we should be available. And I think we will work hard. Sorry, Kate and Scott. We'll work hard to
Fine.
find a way to make
Totally fine.
date works.
I will also take pictures of the stakes and the tape before we take it down. So if
Okay.
there's anyone who doesn't get a chance to get by there, I will send you the pictures and so there will be photographs available of it.
I did send her some as well this morning.
Okay.
I'm very poor at photography, so Kate, if you could do that as well.
It's not my core skill set, but I will do my best.
Yours
And-
is fine.
And Kate, if you can enlist a human to stand next to that for scale. it would be a-
Absolutely. Are you volunteering? You're so tall, Walter.
Oh, well, to your benefit then, I
Exactly.
feed me,
Yeah, we'll do that for sure.
and you should see my son.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone. Good night. Okay. Apologies to our first applicant for the delay, Robbins House, 320 Union Street. Is there a representative here? Anne, any idea who it might be?
No, let's see. I know that Kim did reach out to all of the applicants. The person who applied was Jen Turner.
Oh,
I don't see,
Jen Turner applied for Robbins House?
yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay,
Permission from the chair, if I may. make a
please, doctor.
Motion. Perhaps we can try to reach Ms. Turner and postpone the consideration of this application for after all the other applications have been considered. So she may have time to join the meeting and explain what the project is. And of course, the burden will fall into our town planner's hands.
if we, yes, do we have I'm assuming we have some email or better yet, cell phone for her?
Yes, I have her email. I'll mail her right now.
Or shoot her?
And there seems to be also a telephone number there, so perhaps she can be reached.
Okay. I'll try to call her too. Yep.
But this will be later, is that correct?
What, contacting her?
Yeah. Well, or as we go with the other applications.
Don't we
as well.
need, well, we need, I don't wanna,
Okay, all right,
don't you think we need Ann's?
yeah, no.
Attention.
Right, so I'll reach out to her and I think you can move on to the next item. You could,
Okay. Next item is Miguel Pierce of 75 Main Street, the Main Street Historic District, regarding signs, to repaint one sign and replace two signs. Is Mr. Pierce here?
Hi, my name is Marie Mercier. I'm with Sign Design, the sign company. I'm representing Mr. Prius and Eastern Bank on this.
Okay.
So we're looking, Eastern Bank is having actually a bank changeover there, taking over a few Cambridge Trust locations. And the one in Concord happens to be one of them. So what we're looking to do is just basically replace signs, sizes, everything with the Eastern Bank logo. We have the first one, which is on a little pole outside front with a little hanging sign that we're just looking to paint and put the Eastern Bank logo on there. Their colors are the blue with the small orange stripe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the white sign going on the front of the building right above the door with the Eastern Bank logo right in the blue. And that is like, it's got a little dimension to the logo. It's about 1/4 of an inch. It will stand off the piece of aluminum above the door.
Mm-hmm.
They have a sign in the back of the building. It's the existing pole that we're gonna do, painting it white and just put the Eastern Bank logo on the front of that. We're gonna remove and replace that panel on that sign. So those are the 3 signs that we're looking to do with the exact same, oh, thank you. Move my little faces here. Yeah, so this is the first one here. Keeping the same pole, keeping the same structure, we're just replacing. It's just being painted with the logos of Eastern Bank on that one.
Oops.
Yep, that wasn't it. So that was the first sign in the front of the building that sits behind the sidewalk in front of the building. The next page is the one above the door, which is just a sign panel with the Eastern Bank logo in blue, and it is a dimensional logo. It just sits about 1/4 of an inch off the panel, so it's just a small dimensional logo that's going on that panel above the door. And then the last page is a sign that they have in the back of the building. I guess behind this building, there's a parking lot. So this
Yeah.
faces out to that parking lot that's behind this building. So the pole's staying the same. We're reusing the existing pole. We're just gonna paint the pole white, give it a nice fresh coat of paint and put the Eastern Bank same size as what's existing there now, but just with the Eastern Bank branding colors and logo. And this basically, first page just basically shows where everything is. S1 is the hanging sign off the pole. S2 is the front door, and the S5 is in the back of the plot.
I feel like we just approved these signs for Cambridge Trust, but it was actually probably about 3 years ago they updated it.
Yeah, we have about, I think, 6 locations they're taking over Cambridge Trust.
So the dimensions and materials are exactly the same.
Yeah. Yep, same sizes, everything, just changing the branding to Eastern Bank.
Mhm. All right. Commissioners for comment? Luis, you're first on my screen.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of difficult to say what it's the right approach here, because now there is a corporate logo, and corporate logos are determined by the corporate policy and so forth. I just don't think that this corporate logo is just the colors and so forth are consistent with the other references that may be in the historic district, in the sense that it sort of takes away a little bit the very sort of conservative approach that most of the stores have there. And this is strictly based upon the solid blue combination of colors and so forth. So what I would ask the applicant is whether there's an alternative corporate version of the same sign that doesn't have such a sort of in your face composition. And again, I'm not saying that it's wrong or right. I'm just saying that it's not particularly harmonious with the other signs that are there. This, of course, may be a perspective that may be subjective, but that's my impression. I refer to the gas pump in Lowell Road that the corporation came with a particular color scheme, and we said that that was not appropriate for the historic district, and then came up with something that was a little more subdued. So I asked the applicant whether there would be a more subdued version of the corporate sign. That's all.
I
Thank you.
could go back to my client and see what they have.
But if I can make a point of explanation, probably what the chair wants to have is that we all commissioners will make our comments. After all the commissioners can make our comments, there will be public comments, and then you will have the opportunity to respond to them.
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry for interrupting my.
No, I'm sorry, I apologize.
I yield to the chair again. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Luis. Walter?
My first note that I have here was to ask if there were any other eastern banks in historic districts. That was my reaction to the colors, and the logo is pretty much the same as Luis's here. The second thing I note is use a different color scheme here. The signs do two things. One, they are advertising for the corporation, and the dynamic color combination certainly is in service of that. The other function is to let the public know where the particular location is, and that could certainly be accomplished by having something that was much more subtle, I think. So I agree with Luis's observations about the stridency, perhaps, of the colors, and I would hope that there can be something that was more suited and fit in better with the historic district than those.
Excellent. Thank you, Walter. Melinda? Oh, you're
You're muted.
still muted. Still muted.
Sorry about that. I wanted to say that I was very pleased to see that you kept the signs the same size, because we don't always encounter that. And so that's a big plus. I could live with the colors. There are a few other signs that are not are sort of our first choice. But if you had the opportunity to offer us something else to compare it with, I think that would be helpful.
Thanks, Melinda. Tim?
Exact same concerns. It looks a bit like a credit card to me. And I don't think you need to have the precise logo to have the message sent. So I agree with all the other comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. And I'll echo the same. I thought the same thing, Luis, about the gas station and then also with the trustees sign at the old manse. So Marie, if it's possible to, as Walter suggested, if we could see pictures of other signs in historic districts
Okay.
or additional, combinations, but, let me open it to the public. If there's any member of the public who would like to opine on this, please do so. Okay, I don't believe. Okay, well, seems like there's none. Who would like to make a motion?
I would move that we continue the application of 75 Main Street to repaint one sign and replace two signs in anticipation that the applicant will consider other color schemes that may be more compatible with the rest of the historic district.
And a seconder?
Second,
Thank you. And a vote. Walter,
Yes,
Melinda,
aye.
Timothy,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
and I am an I.
Perfect, thank you. So when will this be continued to?
Well,
Eh.
Luis,
April 17th.
April 17th, yeah, the next meeting,
April 17th is the next hearing, okay.
if that's possible for you.
Yeah, they're just trying to do their changeover. I mean, we still need to make the signs after it gets approved. Well,
Right.
once you get approved, still get the permit, and they're looking to do their changeover with these 6 or 7 banks on June 1st, so
Okay.
it's gonna be cutting it close, but because we have to do them all like the same day, that's why. But that's fine. I guess if April 17th is it, then I'll get everything submitted to Kim with the new color schemes and see you on April 17th.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too, good night. All right, our next item is the town of Concord regarding 52A Barrett's Mill Road in the Barrett Farm Historic District to install 2 agricultural use high tunnels. And I thought I saw, here you guys are, hello.
Hello, hi.
Welcome back, it's been a while.
Yes,
So if you'd like to walk us through what's going on, that'd be great.
sure. My name is Lise Holdorf, 449 Barrett's Mill Road.
I'm Melissa Maxwell, 449 Barrett's Mill Road.
So I'll share up the images that we have. Let's see. Can you all see that?
Yes.
So we are proposing to install 2 30 by 96 foot Gothic style high tunnels. We have 3 of them currently on the property. They are covered with a clear woven poly on the end walls. The roof and sides are clear polyethylene. Since the crops are going to be grown directly in the ground, there's no foundation for the structure. There's also no electrical, no heat hookup. We do have some low voltage motors that are hooked up to just a south facing solar panel that we have behind the high tunnel to power those automated ventilation. So at the end of each tunnel, there are facing the road these 8 foot by 8 foot clear polycarbonate doors. And they're set back about 400 feet from the sidewalk. So for the one that's closer to the road, and the second one will be placed, built behind it. And we have some pictures of the existing ones that we'll show in a little bit, as well as the site map. So just like a bit of background about what these are, because they're not something probably that you might have encountered much. So they are these tunnels are a practice that are promoted by the USDA for conservation reasons. So reducing tillage, preventing erosion, protecting plants from extreme weather, reducing energy use, extending the growing season, and creating more efficient water irrigation usage. So do you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah, so we have a few different reasons why we're looking to install these 2 more high tunnels at Barrett's Mill Farm. So Concord has historically been an agricultural community, and as the number of small farms dwindle here and more broadly across the country, these high tunnels are a very common practice now, and they're important in continuing viable farming in the area by controlling a lot of the risks involved in farming. Particularly recently, the increasing weather extremes have made our protected growing spaces essential for our financial security. Like, we've found that the 3 that we've been using and growing crops under cover have been far more reliable and higher yielding than crops we're growing in the field. We've also seen a big difference in the soil. The farm soil here is incredibly sandy, and it's degraded. Like the soil, the nutrients in the soil aren't there. And we have been following best practices to improve soil health with cover crops and things. But we really need to leave more land fallow long term in order to improve it. And the high tunnels are sort of a key for us to be able to grow a similar amount of crops, but in a much smaller area, and leave more space fallow. So particularly right now, why it's important to us is that we had seen an increased interest in local food during the pandemic. And so as people, like the farm is doing well, but as people have been traveling again in the summer, we've needed to increase our winter income to make up for that, the decrease in summer traffic. And we found that demand for winter local produce is very high, higher than we can meet. And so we're looking to expand our winter production and our shoulder season production because demand for certain crops during the summer has been flat. Our costs have increased dramatically in the past several years, both supplies and labor, and the high tunnels have been a more efficient allocation of our resources. The new tunnels would be used to grow more spinach, kale, lettuce, arugula, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, eggplant, and flowers. Some of those we're growing now with great success in the high tunnels we have, and we're looking to focus more on those things.
So the tunnels that we have built in the past are from a company called Rimmel, and it is the Nor'easter model. So 30-foot width, 4-foot bow spacing. So you won't see much of this from the road. This is just what's going on inside the high tunnels. It will be, I believe it was 13 feet 3 inches tall. And the curvature starts around 4 feet high off of the ground. So see, and then, as I mentioned earlier, the end walls that are facing the road and behind as well will be covered in a clear woven poly. And as I mentioned earlier, we have these roll-up sides that are going to be powered by low voltage motors. And we can see a little bit of what those look like in the photos that we have later on in the presentation. And as we mentioned, we have the double sliding polycarbonate door panels. So this is the map of, so this is the farm stand out front. The red barn here. So, we have all of these are our existing tunnels. And so the ones that we are proposing adding are just to the west of those. So we would be installing this number 6 one first. And then we would have to have, it may not be for another 6 months afterwards when we would be able to install the one that would go behind. And there, can go to the next. So this is a view from the Colonel James Barrett house. So you can see here is the existing tunnel, tunnel number 4, and the proposed one is going to go right. So you'll see some of it from the side of the red barn, but not all of it. And then here's the road from the other side of the red barn. So this is where the new one would go, and then the other one would go straight behind it. This is what I was talking about with the end walls and the polycarbonate door. This is facing the road, and we also have these gable vents. This is what the roll-up sides look like from the side. In hot weather, they roll up and to ventilate the inside of the structure. And then these are the solar panels that go behind the structure to power those roll-up sides. I think that's what we have to present. So we're ready for questions.
Thank you so much. I will start with Tim. You're first on my screen now.
I don't have any comments. No comments, no concerns.
Thank you. Luis?
I think that this is just fine, and that it is entirely consistent with the agricultural and agrarian historic references of Concord. So I think that is a welcome addition. And I will mention the letter that the superintendent of the National Park Service sent of Middleman National Historic Park. And the point that she's making is that she would like to have some vegetation screening those structures. And I think that she's taking a good point, not because there's anything wrong with the structures or that it is necessary or even required, but it's a nice human touch that makes the personal experience of looking at that landscape not only rewarding in the sense that you see a working agricultural environment, but you also see something that may actually be quite beautiful given the right time of the year and so forth. So I will encourage the applicants to include these suggestions in the final structure as it is built, and certainly I don't have any objections to it as it stands. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Luis. Melinda?
I think their presentation was very thorough, and I think everything's fine.
Thank you. Walter?
Only one concern, which is fostering the growth of cucumbers. I'm not really a fan of cucumbers. But
Like an eggplant, so.
yeah, eggplant's cool. I agree absolutely once again with what Luis was saying. That was my again, my note on this was that the superintendent had asked about screening, and there was a reference that it had been asked for in the past and not provided. Is that true?
I think that there was some discussion of hydrangeas, perhaps. They or I don't know if it was exactly what.
Oh. You could spray paint a mural on the end of the beautiful trees and sunflowers. Eh?
It doesn't shade anything here.
Yes, I know. I'm in favor of there being something to break up the industrial quality of that. I grew up in farmland when I was a kid, and I've seen all these things. I know sometimes it can be beautifully brutal, and other times
Yeah.
You want to just soften it a little bit. So if there's a way to soften it just a touch with.
Was there a
vegetation and planting.
particular suggestion of a type of screening or just to kind
Anything but cucumbers, I'm fine.
of anything but cucumbers? Okay.
I don't know, there was a reference to red cedar, I think, at
Right.
one point. I mean, you'd want something that doesn't cost a huge amount of money, grows close to 13 feet tall, and hopefully, you know, grows pretty quickly.
Yep.
I'm hardly expert on that, but there are people who are.
Yep.
So, yeah, you can default to arborvitae, but that's probably not the way to do it. So that's what I've got. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Walter. Anne, did you have something to read from Dennis?
Sorry, yeah, so Dennis had commented on the memo from the National Park 2.
Yes.
Right, so Margie, who works at the National Park, had recommended the Eastern Red Cedar. So Dennis wrote, he was on the HDC when the original greenhouses were approved. He had argued for them then as a continuum of the agricultural buildings, very much in use today. He's not sure of the current screening, but cedars that are going to grow very large may block sun from the buildings. That was just his comment. And he said a somewhat dense thicket of deciduous growth would soften it. So that's all.
Thank you. And
And if I may just say, I imagine that one could speak to Dennis. He's certainly well versed in trees and plants and things. He would probably have very positive suggestions, something that
Right.
would work.
I have nothing to add beyond referencing Simone's letter about softening with some green screening. Let me turn it over to the public. I just saw that the big guy is back. Hello, Mark Giddings. Would you like to speak? Oh, you're still muted.
You're still muted, Mark.
Good evening, Mark Giddings, 474 Barrettsville Road. I obviously live across the street from this facility. I think we need to take into consideration that it is across from the Barrett Farmhouse, which is the most historic Revolutionary building. And it will be the site of many people that will be there for the 250th. I think the tunnels that are over there already look like an industrial aspect, not an agrarian aspect. And I think the 2 additional tunnels destroy the vista of the field. I take exception to it. Obviously, I live right across the street from us, and the second shot that you showed, showing it by the red barn, is what we look at from across from our house. Okay. I think you should take into consideration the 250th anniversary and the number of people who will be touring the Barrett Farmhouse. And is this really something that they want to be looking at? Okay. I think the very least that you should do is do a site visit so that you can see exactly what these buildings are going to look like when they get erected and where they're going to go. I take it that the most of the commission members feel that this is okay, but that's my thought. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Others? How does the commission feel about a site visit since it is a large piece of construction? Would anyone like to see it?
Yeah. I'll speak to that. I think there is wisdom in doing that. You know, the concerns, the hesitations that have been expressed here were about softening the view, so it's right in line
Worth
with
seeing.
with what we just heard, of course.
Mhm.
So what is, I have a question. I understand honoring the 250th, especially, would it be less onerous to have those additional tunnels there in, say, a year and a half's time or 2 years' time after the 250th, or is it an ongoing?
I just think it's a concern, if I can respond. I just think it's a concern that you should be aware of. Okay, you know, we expect hundreds of thousands of people to come to Concord to see this. You know, as I'm sure you're all aware, the Barrett Farmhouse was the destination of General Gage's soldiers when they marched out here in April of 1775, that he had enough weapons and food for 20 some odd thousand soldiers stored there. That was where Gage sent his troops, okay? And it's critical to the event, I guess. Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Well, Walter, I would go on a site visit as well. If you'd like to set one up.
So is that in the form of a motion?
Uh,
We
so,
continue consideration until April 17th, when a site visit can be arranged that morning.
yes, let's make a motion for that. Is that your motion?
If it works, or otherwise I'll put it in a slightly different order. I would like to move that we schedule a site visit for the morning of April 17th, assuming that it is not in conflict with another site visit scheduled for that. And that we consider the application after the site visit on April 17th.
I think that we should continue the application. There should be a
Yes.
motion to continue the application for that day.
Not consider continuing the application. A little bit of a word salad, but if can pull the right thing out of there.
Anne, do you
Sure.
have?
Sorry, I just do have a question. I mean, that is an important date here in Concord, so would there be,
Well,
I don't
that's,
know the events that are going on that morning.
that's true.
Do you all know what is going on the morning of April 17th this year?
All right, no, I'll say it. No, I don't.
Okay.
Put it out there, no.
Hopefully nothing will be going on at 8 in the morning.
Will it take me longer than 45 minutes to get there from my house? I could do.
Yeah, it probably will.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us.
Well, that's
Anne.
all. It's also a marathon in Boston that day, right? Is it
No, the 15th is a marathon.
15th marathon? Yeah.
What's going on, Anne?
So I guess it's fine. I just wanted to
Well,
ask the question.
Wait, is something going, wait, did I miss something? Is something going on?
well, it's
April 17th is the anniversary of,
twas the 18th of April in 75.
Oh, that old thing.
Was-
Oh,
was
Hardly
it-
a
was
Kate
it-
is now
was it
alive. Who
April-
remembers that?
April 19th, not 17th, but
Oh,
April
oh,
19th.
out there saying, okay.
Phew, okay.
Okay,
So I
so
think,
I'm wrong on my date.
all right.
Right.
So we have a motion standing. Do we have a seconder?
A second.
Thank you, Luis. Melinda,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
and I am an I. I should ask the applicants, would you be able to see us for site visit on April 17th?
We'll be here.
Yep.
We won't be at that thing that might be happening.
Yeah. We work from home, so.
Don't you? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks for your consideration.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see, nice to see
Thank
you. all.
you. Thank you for pointing it out.
It'll be for 8 AM that morning, ideally. It won't take us long to get there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
No cucumbers.
All right, and Jen Turner, I believe, has in the interim been able to make here for Robin's house. Am I correct?
Yes, sorry.
Excellent. Okay, are you able to speak about the application for 320 Monument Street?
Yes, I have,
There
if
you
I
are.
can share my screen, I thought I had, all right, let me
Yes,
just see if I can get, oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So I just wanted to apologize for putting the cart before the horse in terms of this art installation. We were working with the town of Concord and Beth Williams and Mimi Graney, and we were trying to put these bottle trees up as part of the Black Coral project, which is an art group in Boston. Whoops. Okay, and so we wanted to put these up, but for a lot of different reasons, it didn't work out for the town of Concord to be able to put these up. But we were definitely interested in the aesthetics and the symbolism around the bottle tree. So we gladly accepted the bottle tree. I was working with the artists when they just happened to show up on a random Saturday when I wasn't even in town in October, and installed the bottle tree. So we, as many of you know, are a seasonal museum. So we're not open right now. So we wanted to provide some interpretive signage for the bottle tree while we're not open. And so we have the bottle tree, and then the signage. And I believe we chose ultimately the one on the right, option number 1, was the language that we've used on the sign. And Joe Palumbo, the head of the DEI Commission, who many of you probably know, is a board member of the Robbins House. And so he and I sort of put together the interpretive sign that's outside of the Robbins House right now, next to the bottle tree. And it's just to provide information about the bottle tree, the reason why the Black Coral project in Boston used the indigo bottles on the tree. Supposedly it's a tradition that comes from West Africa, and it came as enslaved people were brought to the Americas, and particularly in Georgia and some of the southern colonies. And it's the idea that the spirit of the ancestors live in the bottles themselves. So they were actually placed on trees very commonly in the South. And so the Black Coral Project has done a lot of these bottle trees in Cambridge and other places. So we're delighted to have it. But we did sort of do it before getting permission from the HDC, which I apologize for. So we're basically coming here tonight to get permission to have the installation remain through the spring. I'm not in contact with the artist, but we're hoping we'll probably keep it up until after Ellen's birthday in April, Ellen Garrison's birthday in April, and then we'll probably have it up probably into the new museum season, and then we'll probably remove it sometime. I would think in May or early June, depending on when the artist can come and pick it up.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll ask my commissioners for comment. Walter, hello.
No. Well, I was about to say in the spirit of, but that's kind of a bad fun. My first question is, this is part of a larger art project, right?
It was initially, but due to a lot of different circumstances, including the cost of the bottle trees and things like that, we're actually the only museum.
Not coordinated currently with other.
No, although the National Park Service did temporarily have a bottle tree up at some point in the fall, and we were hoping to do kind of a joint.
Well, yeah, I understand not
collaboration, but as of right now, no one else in town has.
So it's not coordinated time-wise with other similar projects.
No, unfortunately, no, because the project didn't work out.
Okay, so in some ways, there's no compelling reason to have it in place right now with the museum not open, other than that it's already there, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm concerned that this is not the only instance we've had recently of displays and arches and the like being put up and then we were being asked for retroactive approval of things. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be feasible to park this at the moment until the weather clears and consider it as a clean application to go up later on in the spring, given that it's not, that there's not a time pressure or time constraint on having it on display right at the moment. So it would be certainly a cleaner way to do this. I've read through all the different parts of the application and paper, and I was very unclear about when things were actually being done and how long, even in what you were, and how long it was anticipated it was going to stay in place. Even as you were saying, there's not a set time to take it down. And I would imagine that would be something that should be in the application. And
Well, I think that we're also kind of at the whim of the artist, because like I said, when this whole project fell apart, because the artists were talking with, you know, the Concord Museum and, you know,
yeah,
Beth
I did hear you say that. As a commissioner on the HDC, I am more comfortable, I guess, with having a set time for things being installed and taken down, rather than everything being at the whim of the artist, who may or may not show up in any particular month coming up. So I don't want to belabor it too much, but that's my position and concern.
Thank you, Walter. Luis?
I think that from an artistic standpoint and as a symbolic standpoint, that is perfectly fine. But I share the comments of Walter in the sense that this has something that is of enough significance, so it should be done in a way that has the maximum impact. And certainly the conditions of the artist are not a factor whatsoever. In the sense that this has to be done properly, and I would certainly hope that the installation is done during a time that has high significance, and that it will be given a very precise time span, which for temporary installations is 6 months. So I would like to see those 6 months being chosen very clearly, and seems that the whole thing already went up. This commission is not particularly keen at approving things in retrospect. So, you know, one excellent solution would be just to dismantle it and put it back in for a period of 6 months. And that would have as much impact as possible. Alternative, you may think that this is the time that it should be up. Therefore, you will provide the commission with a date by which this installation will be taken down. And that will be regardless of the availability or the circumstances of the artist. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luis. Tim?
Yeah, I just want to be clear. The location was selected by the artist, correct? They came and put it up, and it appeared at the timeline of the artist, right?
Right. I was in discussion with the artists about, you know, having it, you know, but we were talking about cost and things like that. They ultimately gave it to us for free, which was very kind of us, because we are a small nonprofit that you know, isn't always, you know, able to put on you know, things like the Concord Museum and other things that can do. So they actually just came, you know, we were in sort of negotiations about storing the bottles in the cellar and, you know, bringing things in, and then they just came and they put it up. You know, we had said we wanted it on the front lawn, and so they did come in October. You know, my interpreter sent me photos of it, and, you know, photos of the artist putting it up together. But it was just, you know, we did want it, you know, in like October. You know, we were thinking of hosting a ceremony honoring the names of enslaved persons who had lived, you know, in the Great Field with the Robbins and Garrison families. So we did, you know, we're hoping to hold a ceremony in the spring around the naming of the sort of the spirit of the ancestors, and then you know, ask the artist to come and bring the installation to a close. That's my goal for the spring.
I mean, I have same reactions as the two Walter and Luisa's comments. I know it's just, it's kind of a stunning piece, I think, and I'm all up for public art. It just seems like it's kind of been at the whim of the artist, which is not our issue, and it's not at a, I think we'd prefer to see it put forth when there's people there on a thought out time and a thought out place and presented rather than after the fact.
Right, and I recognize that. I mean, like I said, I apologize for not having submitted the paperwork. Last fall I was still relatively new on the job, so I wasn't sure of the process around the HGC. I've only been here a year, and I just recently found out that we've also improperly installed the plantation bell as well without putting our plan in with the HGC as well. So I'm working to deal with that as well. So I think that
Understood.
I think part of it is that we haven't had protocols in place at the Robbins House to address some of these issues, which as the executive director, obviously going forward, I will be putting protocols in place to address those.
Okay. I think I'll stop there. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Tim. Melinda?
I have nothing new to add. I hadn't seen this, and I will say it does really stand out. I like the signage, but I agree that we really probably can't give you a pass on not doing any of the things that should have been done ahead of time to give us time to talk about when it should go and when it should come out, especially when it should come out. So I would say that I think you should probably take it down and appeal.
For my question, Jen, I understand you're a newer, smaller museum, so getting the hang of all this does have a learning curve. Was your board involved in this at all?
Nikki Turbin, our president, definitely was interested in installing the piece. She's also new. I mean, she's the new president of the board with Maria Madison and Rob Monroe. They left the board last year at the same time that I came on board as the executive director. So we do still have relatively new leadership under the Robbins House in terms of these protocols. And like I said, I recently was in touch with Ann Forbes about the bell for a completely different reason and found out that, the bell that we also have on the front lawn of the house, which was installed, 2 years before I became the executive director, was not HDC approved either. So, I mean, I think that we as a museum don't have protocols in place that obviously we should do around installations and things on the front lawn.
Yes, because your neighbor across the street, the old man's, installed something several years ago, and I think we'll probably be coming forward again sooner rather than later to do it again. And they had to go through a lot of these steps and a lot of review. It's a much bigger type of installation, but there it is. So, all right, and I think we have someone here for public comment. Any public comment? Oh, okay.
Mr. Chair, may I make an additional comment?
Please do.
I just want to let the applicant know that I believe this commission, the greatest concern that it has is that I think that all members of the commission want to see this sculpture and want to have the significance of this sculpture. And I think that this sculpture is particularly good as invoking the historic references of the Robbins House. So if I can take the liberty of speaking for my fellow commissioners, I think that we all collectively believe that this is an important object that must be there. I wouldn't say that should, but that must be there. But that we have to also understand that we have a mandate, that it's enabled by legislation by which these things cannot go on just as a whim. And of course, 99% of the time when these things happen are just because of lack of information. I don't think this is an exception at all. But if we were to apply the rules, and we were to approve this application retroactively, you just mentioned that it was installed in October, so usual temporary structures are approved for 6 months. So that would mean that it has to be removed in March. So it will be over, and you probably will not have the ability to make an additional request to have it prolonged, or it would make an exception because the enabling legislation clearly says that temporary structures will not last longer than 6 months. So I think that there are two options here, and I think that those options should be considered very carefully, because I believe that this is a very important object that has a very important historical reference. And I would like to see it displayed for a longer time. So one of the options would be that you make the position that you recognize that a mistake was made and that the structure will be removed immediately, and that actually does happen. And then you come with an application which is fresh and that doesn't have any of the hang-ups. And then we can approve it for a period of 6 months, and we can determine collectively what is the most important, what are those 6 months should be. You see, which parts of the year should be overlapping. April 19th should be later, should be at a time during Black History Month, etc. So that would be the considerations that I would have. So one of the options is just to withdraw the application, state publicly that it was made by mistake, and then consider exactly the same application, and then come to an agreement on when should it be installed. Sorry for my long-winded comments.
No, those were helpful options.
I mean, I guess my only concern is that I have not moved it without the artist, because like I said, this is not a piece that we have purchased. It's a piece that's on loan to us from the artist. So I wouldn't feel comfortable moving the piece without their help. You know, I mean, I don't even know how
Artist in the
like,
region?
so I guess like the problem is that I guess I would have, I mean, I can't move it immediately. Even if I, so I would have, I mean, I'd have to get in touch with them to ask them if they would come and move it.
You would. Is the artist, terribly far away?
I mean, they're in Boston.
Okay, so not so far
I mean,
away.
they're sometimes a little bit hard to get a hold of. Just from our conversations last fall. So you're suggesting that I remove the piece, and then I would assume the artist would probably take it back, if they're gonna come out and move it, but I guess I could talk to them about that. So do I have a timeline before, like, is there fines or anything that comes into play if I can't move it immediately because I have to talk to the artists?
Well, it's not your only option. As Luis said, there are a couple of options. We would normally have approved something for 6 months. And so you could consider the 6-month clock has been running, so you have about another week to have it up. But I think what you all would want, and what the commissioners have been saying, is it's a compelling piece, and it would be great if it were up and on display at the museum during the museum's opening season, thus maximizing its exposure to visitors. In which case it couldn't just stay up all along. I think that's, the feeling that I'm getting from the commissioners, because we just don't allow that. That's just not, you would have already had 6 months up, and then when is your season? Are you open till November to October?
We're open from late May, Memorial Day, to the end of October.
So you'd want it up for nearly another 6 months for a total of a year. You know, that would fly in the face of how we tend to regulate such things. So
Okay, so then
you
the
could
suggestion
for
would
another
be,
week or so, or you could take it down soon and reapply and put it up, and then you'd have it for that whole opening time.
okay. I guess I'm just assuming that the artists, if they're coming out to help me move it, they'll probably take it. I'm just assuming, you know, because they have other, so
Well-
so I should so basically the
quite a
suggestion is
work.
to contact the artist to have them come and remove it.
Ms. Chair, may I?
Yes, please.
I think that this is a typical case where perhaps the applicant could work constructively with our town planner. And the town planner may suggest options that allows the Historic Districts Commission to operate within the constraints of the law, because this is not a matter that we like or we decide or we prefer. This is something written in legislation that was approved by the legislature in Massachusetts. So it's not our preference or our option. So it's something that we need to implement because we are just operating upon those rules. So it's not that we're going to accommodate one thing or another and that we could have an option. We basically have no option. This is a structure that did not have approval. So once it comes to our attention, then our role is to ask that it be removed immediately. On the other hand, we, being part of the Historic Districts Commission, believe that this is a very important structure and that it should be there. So we're asking you to find a way to accomplish that. And I think that there should be a constructive solution with the artist and with everyone involved, and maybe we can involve volunteers, and I'm sure that even members of this commission will be willing to offer whatever they can contribute to. But I think that this has to be resolved in a way that is consistent with the enabling legislation and the rules and regulations and the guidelines of administration from this commission. So that's the reason I'm saying that if you work with Ms. Clifford and she can consult with other town boards, etc., and see how we can come forward and don't break any law, fulfill our discharge, our responsibility correctly, and have the sculpture there, because that's what we all want.
All right, then, to that end, perhaps, Luis, would you like to craft a motion?
Well, you know, the motion that we have before us is to approve an application that it has already been installed. So if we approve it, then we will give it a line life of a total of 6 months. If it was installed in October, then it will have to be removed. So that being the case, then I think that the cleanest way to do it is to say that we are going to deny the application, but we're going to ask the applicant to resubmit the application with an specified time period, and that we anticipate that the structure will be removed, or it may be removed in such way that it's partially removed. And that's the reason I'm saying that we should work with the town planner, as there will be some options that keep us within the legislation and that also accomplish the goal of keeping the structure that it's all what we want to do. So my motion, from my perspective, our motion has to be to deny the application in view that it was installed not following the rules, and encourage the applicant and expect that the applicant will submit an application with a specific date that will be from May to October. And if they remove it in October, when we can even make it from April to October. And if we do things constructively and creatively, then we may be able to have the process of taking it down and putting it back occurring instantaneously. So it doesn't stay there, it stays there, because if we approve it from April to October, that will be 6 months, and we can approve that. But
Yes.
we cannot, if we approve it retrospectively, then it has to come down for sure.
Yes, we understand that. So would you like to state that motion in just that motion?
I move that we deny the application of 320 Monument Street, Northbridge Monument Square Historic District to install a temporary bottle tree art installation with the caveat that the applicant will resubmit the application to install such installation for a period starting around April and ending not later than October 31st, 2024.
Can I just ask a question though? I'm still confused though, because, but that does mean that if the application's denied, I need to pull the bottle tree installation.
Yes, but you have to understand that we cannot force you to do it by midnight tonight or anything like that, you know.
Well, no, I mean, I understand that, but I'm saying like, if I guess my concern is, my fear is if I reapply and I willfully leave the bottle tree up because I'm worried about moving it with the artist, whether I'll be penalized
No,
on the next round.
if I may clarify the point, you see, we penalize in the sense that when people break the rules and everyone knows about it, but there are no actual physical or economic penalties.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying that, I mean, I
May
understand.
may I say something? Which is, you're winning. You need to trust.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just,
that-
okay.
And then the other thing is that you say, well, you know,
Speak
we
to
will remove
Anne.
the application, we will remove the application and the structure, and then you can take one bottle out. And, you know, the process of removing it is very slow, you know. There are all kinds of things that can happen. So that's the reason if you talk to our town planner, I'm sure that she will guide you in such a way that we accomplish our goal, you see, and our collective goal is that structure that is highly symbolic and it's almost like a necessity stays.
Okay.
So I move that we deny the application of 320 Monument Street with the requirement that the applicant resubmit the application to have the temporary installation in place from a period starting in April and ending no later than October 31st, 2024.
And may I have a seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Walter. And I'll start with Melinda, please.
You are muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Tim,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
Walter,
Just the record should show that I was not the second, but I am an aye.
you were not the second?
You and I look alike, Walter, I guess.
Yeah,
Wait, you seconded, Tim?
it was Tim.
Oh, so sorry. Thank you very much. Sorry, okay.
So aye.
And I am an aye. So Jen, if you are confused, Anne
I really hope that you get that down sometime in the next couple of months. Okay.
Thank you.
Anne can help you get through all this.
Yeah, really, Anne Clifford will be a very useful resource.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Mm.
Okay,
We expect to see you on April 17th, by the way. Just in case that you don't know. Which is the next meeting.
Okay. I'll write it down. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
sure thing. Good night.
And sorry to stomp on you, Kate.
No, good, thank you. I'm usually better than that. And y'all will see that 2 items have been continued to the next meeting. In case you've been looking at an earlier agenda. And
Shouldn't we vote on those continuances?
we have to vote on this?
I believe so.
Is that right? Huh, okay. Then let's do that. Anne?
Yeah, and it's there, but. Well, I move that we continue the application as requested for 419 421 Main Street and that we continue the application of the Trinitarian Congregational Church, 54 Walden Street, as requested by the applicants for the meeting of April 17th, 2024.
All right, and a seconder.
I'll second, says Walter.
Walter, thank you, Walter, for seconding that.
And that was me. I seconded.
Oh, no, come on, guys. I'm barely hanging on. All right. Thank you for seconding that too for Walter. And if I could have a vote, I'll start with Tim and get him out of the way before I get any.
Aye.
Thank you. Walter,
Aye.
Luis,
Aye.
Melinda.
Aye.
Thank you, and I am an aye as well. So we will continue those two items till the next meeting. And we do have a couple of additional items. One is this, oh, okay, they're both here. This certificate amendment for 241 Barrett's Mill Road. And do you have any more details on that?
Hi, that's me.
Oh, hello.
I've been quietly lurking here in the background waiting.
Well, I know I keep tapping over to your square thinking member of the public. Surely you want to say something, but you're here for this. Sorry about that.
No, it did feel a little bit like a Barrett's Mill Road reunion here for a second. These are people I see walk down the street all the time.
All right.
So I'm happy to share what this is all about, and appreciate you all fitting me into the agenda. So my name's Scott Wood. I live at 241 Barrett's Mill Road. And I was actually here not too long ago last year about a backyard landscaping project and shed replacement, which was approved by this commission. So appreciated the guidance on that. And so I'm here, I guess this is an amendment to the project, which is that I reached out to Anne with this question as well. We'd like to incorporate a pergola over the patio area that's closest to the back of the house. And you can see that there's a magenta colored rectangle where we're proposing this for. To be honest, I actually wasn't sure if the location was within the purview of the commission, but reached out to Anne in the case that it was. And so, the reason for this is it's a south-facing backyard with very limited shade. So our intention is to provide some cover over that area where we're going to have a table and chairs and kind of typical patio setup. I did include the specifications that we have from the quote we received for this. So, this is a freestanding white pergola, 17 by 24 feet. And I believe all the kind of pertinent details are there, but happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
Scott and/or Anne, is it visible from the public way at all? Is that?
So I do think there's like a corner of it that would be visible from when you're heading, let's see, if from Lowell Road towards Barrett's Mill Farm. There's sort of a corner of the property there that I do think some of it would be visible. I do have a picture that might
From
help.
Lowell Road?
I'm sorry, coming from Lowell Road towards Barrett's Mill Farm on Barrett's Mill.
I don't think we're going to be looking that closely. Okay.
Yeah, if it'd be helpful, I mean, I can share a picture from the road. Let me see if I can do this here. This is interesting. I apologize. It's requiring me to change my computer's preferences to show the screen. Hang on just a second.
can share Google Maps if you like, if that helps.
Yeah, yeah, actually, maybe if you could do the like street view, that would give a sense. Yes, yeah, there you go. And I mean, we have in the landscaping project, which was one of the plans I shared, quite a bit of additional vegetation has gone in this area to the left of the house there. So there's some, new like evergreen tree plantings and other, tall shrubs and such. So yeah, I think that's really the extent of, where you would see it from.
Okay. All right. So you would just like to add a pergola to what's already been approved?
Yes.
Do we need a motion for this?
You want comments?
Comments? I'm just, if it's comments,
Well, it's a certificate amendment, so
Isn't that
we're
usually-
we're amending something that was approved by the whole commission, so you probably would ask the commission to approve the amendment to the certificate.
without comments.
Well, it would be almost like having another application, which is an
Right.
extension of the first application. So I would ask for, I think you have to ask for public comments and ask for each commissioner comments and public comments, and then approve it. Or deny, or continue.
Oh, okay, all right, well, it never hurts to ask for comments, all right, I'll start with Melinda, please.
I think the a pergola is attractive to look at. I have absolutely no problem with your putting it in there, and I don't think it'll really be in any way obtrusive for people walking by.
And Walter, please.
My question is it going to be any more visible, expected to be any more visible than other aspects of the project that have been approved? If that makes sense.
If we're including the, trees and landscaping that went in, I would say no.
You mean just like in
And
terms
you
of
could put
scale?
wisteria growing on it and it would disappear, right?
Well, we did actually plant some climbing roses that'll be going up the side of it if it goes in. So in the vegetation, over the next couple of years will mature. So I personally, as someone who appreciates the historic nature of where we live, it's
Sure. Yeah, I don't anticipate there being any problem.
Thank you, Walter. Tim?
The house is set quite far back. I'm just sort of looking at the view on my phone and scrolling all the way to the next house, and I think you'd have a very hard time seeing much of anything, so I have no issues with it.
And Luis?
I have no issues at all. I think it's gonna be fine.
And the same goes for myself. So, motion to amend the certificate.
Any public comments? Are there public comments?
We have no public.
We have no public left.
Okay, there are no public comments then.
So motion to approve, to extend, to amend.
I move that we amend the certificate 2333 of 241 Barretts Mill Road to add a pergola in a backyard patio area.
Thank you. And a seconder.
A second.
Second.
Thank you, Melinda. And Tim, would you like to vote first?
Aye.
Thank you. Luis,
Aye.
Melinda,
Aye.
Walter,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So, Scott, I think you're all set.
Thank you. I appreciate it and appreciate what you all are doing here. So thanks.
Thanks for hanging in there.
My pleasure.
Okay. The next item is something Anne had mentioned and has a example of temporary wayfinding signage for the 250th that's coming up. And do you have that available?
So Elizabeth Hughes, my boss, the town planner, she has hired Priscilla Sturgis to help design some temporary pedestrian signage for the 250th. Priscilla Sturgis is the one who designed the logo for the 250th. I can bring this up on the screen. So these are the proposed signs. She had initially designed them at about 18 by 3 inches, but we went out on site with Beth Williams of the Visitor Services, and I think it was it Aaron from the DPW, who does the signage all around town to sort of test them in place. And they thought that the 18 inches was a little bit too small. So it's like a balancing act. You don't want to compete with the main street signs, but also you want it to be visible and not completely disappear. So we just wanted to present these informally to you all, get your sense of what you think of them, whether you'd like to see them in person yourselves, in relationship to, the rest of the street signs. The idea would be either to install them on existing street signs or on light poles. And again, just temporary signs just for, but in this case, it would not be 6 months, it would be, probably a year. So we just wanted to get your sense of what you thought of the design, and I guess the time frame.
So they'll be bigger, but we just don't know what yet.
Right, I think approximately, 20 inches long, to scale. So 20 inches long, and then, 3.5 inches possibly.
Mm-hmm. Because the one you showed me earlier today didn't look terribly obtrusive, but I can see why they'd want it bigger.
Right, that was really just 16 inches, just to give you.
Oh, that wasn't, sorry, I can't seem to turn this off.
I have a couple of thoughts. And one is, and is there any thought about coordinating this? I know it's Concord's logo, but coordinating with other towns? Lexington, for example, if there are visitors who are coming through the entire area, would it not make sense for them to recognize what these signs are all about? Have one say, Lexington 250th, one say, Concord 250th, depending where they were, so there would be continuity across the area.
Right, I had
Just
asked
a thought.
at a tourism huddle recently, because the there's a new person who works for, I think it's the Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, and they hired her to work on the Concord on the 250th anniversary. So I asked her the exact same thing, because we must not be the only town facing this issue.
Yeah.
She said that they were looking at a logo for the region, and of course there's also a national logo, but they hadn't even started to do any sort of design.
My understanding is we're a little bit ahead of most other.
So the thought was that this could be tested possibly this year. Right. And I guess, the group that was at that tourism huddle, we sort of looked quickly you know, we Googled what, you know, what is the national logo for the 250th? And we feel as if the Concord logo is much, much stronger, and you know,
Yes, I'm not surprised.
Priscilla did a
Um,
great job.
Let them catch up and share maybe if we can. And then the other thing, there's three different not typefaces, but three different colors involved in this. Is that correct?
She provided 3 different options, and I think
Mhm.
one that Elizabeth thought that she'd really like you all to focus on is this one with you know, the reddish figure here.
So I have a question for
Option
Louisa.
7.
Sorry.
Sorry, what,
Yeah.
Louise?
That's it.
I have a question for Luis about this. When I first saw the red on there, it immediately reminded me of cardiac distress from walking. Which made me wonder if maybe we should say, 0.8 miles is just perfectly fine for most people, but if you have a coronary condition, you might not want to walk 0.8 miles, and that's a little bit of a red flag there.
A lot for one sign too. Mine's coming up as kind of an orange gold, not red.
Well, red-ish.
Russet. So
I don't know,
Elizabeth,
I prefer if I have an opinion, I prefer the pure white rather than the red for it, just for legibility. And
Were there options 1 through 4 that were rejected already? These are 5, 6, 7.
yes.
the way it's presented, there's three different, well, 6 total, 3 different, or
No,
6
actually, there are only 3.
There's 5, 6, 7, I think, right?
Right, there was an earlier iteration where the background, I think, was white, and this seemed preferable.
I was having a hard time figuring out that I think I get the differences. They're very similar. I have a pure just gut reaction as the logo is going to be tiny. I mean, these are very subdued. I think they're kind of handsome, I guess. They're not overwhelmingly striking, but that logo and the 250 and Concord are going to be invisible to cars. I'm almost want to see something that's slightly more captivating, and I'm sure the letters pointing to where you're going, you could probably read from a car. There's a bunch of, you can see certain letters at certain distances. There's all kinds of traffic signage stuff of what you can see at 50 feet and 100 feet and what size font you need. But the logo, it just strikes me as just one step into the hyper subtle phase. This is my purely personal gut response, that it's very subdued.
Traffic will probably be moving at 3 miles an hour, so it'll be easier to read.
Right, they're not meant as vehicular wayfinding signage. They're meant really for pedestrian. We really don't want to encourage, vehicles.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. This is meant for pedestrians.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Okay. That makes more sense. I missed that part.
Sorry about that.
That's what we got.
so Anne, would you like particular feedback, or just, Elizabeth said, just show it to them? Is
So I guess, right, so if you think that this is we're on the right track, then when this is further along, we'll come before you again with an official application. With the correct dimensions and everything.
Any other questions, anyone, about them? Size, whatever.
I think they're all kind of tame, and I agree that the Concord 250, it's quite busy, so it's probably gonna be just something that everybody misses.
But I think if you're on the street.
But on the street, yeah, you may be able to identify it, and
Yeah.
you will see the 250 on some type of industrial structure, then you realize that it's the North Bridge.
Look, you don't want them to be bigger. I was put on a wayfinding committee about 7 years ago. Do you know anything about this committee, Ann? The town paid a consultant about $250,000, and we had a couple of these sessions about like theming the signs in Concord and that sort of thing. And it was very funny because everyone was just all cranky Yankee, like, who cares? Let's not spend money on this. You know, we don't need a theme. We're Concord, blah, blah, blah. Because he would show us examples of like, well, this is what the town of Randomville did, you know, and look at all their signs, you know, people are like, we're Concord. We don't need, you know, particular motif or whatever else. And so at least I got booted off. I don't know if they disbanded the rest of the thing, but I don't know whatever happened to that.
Right, I think it didn't have enough support, and so it didn't really go anywhere. I was on a similar committee in Waltham, but they did end up creating vehicular signs, but not the pedestrian ones.
Okay. Yeah, it was actually almost comical. We don't get it. So that's what I was afraid this was, but it makes sense. And I think from a pedestrian level, they'll be fine. And I don't think we have any other questions. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, full disclosure, I did not read the minutes from 11:16. Did anybody? Walter, you're usually a good minute reader.
I did. I had one correction.
You did?
Yeah. It all looks fine. There was the last reference to Lowell Road as something else. I don't even know what it is here. I looked in an email, sent it in, and the change was made, I believe. So I'm happy with the minutes.
Thank you very much. Do we need to vote on those?
Yeah, we need to approve the minutes.
Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of forgot
11/16/23.
11 as mentioned by Walter Clay.
And a seconder.
Second.
Thank you, Walter. I know it was Tim. Just kidding. And a vote. I think we can just do this one, yay or nay.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? No. Okay, minutes have been approved for 11:16. That, I believe, is.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you very much, with assistance from Luis, and we need a motion to conclude.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you very much.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no. Okay, great. All right, thanks, everybody.